A Land of Few Resources, Chapter 2, Section 1. How did Mesopotamians cope with the lack of resources? Unlike other civilizations who had access to stone, the Mesopotamians did not. They had no forests to provide wood. They lacked building materials like stones and metals. Reed and brick houses. Since they had few building resources, they used reed and mud. And what they would do is they would form reeds and pillars, stick them in a hole in the ground, and to make the roofs, they would bend them over. And you can see that right here in this picture. Mesopotamians often used reeds to build their structures. They also built many structures out of mud bricks. Unlike stone used in buildings of many other ancient civilizations, these reed and mud bricks have not survived to modern times. As a result, the ancient civilization of Mesopotamia have presented modern scholars with few intact ruins to study. And you can see how kind of fragile these structures are. So in order to make the mud brick, what they would do is they would mix straw and mud together and then form them into rectangular prisms or the shape of a brick, and they would lay them out in like big long rows like you see here, and they would bake in the sun. And remember, we talked in class, when you want to harden something, you bake it. Just think like if you've ever done a clay project in art class, it starts out kind of soft and mushy, and then it dries out, and then your teacher puts it in the kiln, and after it's in the kiln, it bakes till it gets very hard. And what they would do is they would use these bricks to construct buildings. They were much sturdier than the reed buildings. If you think about the Three Little Pigs stories, it was easier for the wolf to blow down the straw house than it was the brick house. Even though this was a better structure, both types had to be repaired often, because they were using things that weren't very, very sturdy. Another thing to note about the Mesopotamians is that they were very easy to invade because they had no natural barriers such as mountains or seas. And this made it very easy for other people to invade their land. And since this happened, they were invaded a lot. And after that happened over a period of time, they kind of got sick of it. So the Mesopotamians wanted to protect themselves, but they had a lack of stone. So instead, they built the brick walls out of mud bricks. They could be up to 20 feet high, and most of them had guards. And something cool that they did to add extra protection was that they built moats, which is the water that surrounds the walls. Trading resources. Mesopotamians traded their surplus for stone, wood, metal, gold, tin, etc. And what they offered when they went to trade is grains and dates and other farm products. This was possible due to a surplus, which means that they had more than they needed to survive, so they could take their extra and go trade with other people for things that they needed. Trading, digging, building walls needed to be done over and over, and it was continuous work. So community leaders had to organize groups to do the work. And we will start to talk about this more in the next section. We're going to talk about the organization of civilization. So going forward, I want you to think, why was trade important to Mesopotamia? What did it help them gain that they didn't have? Since Mesopotamia had few resources, people traded surplus crops to get what they needed. Why it matters now. The Mesopotamians had to overcome a lack of resources, and today people still work to solve shortages of water, food, and resources. So remember that when we study history, we study it so we can solve problems for today. So looking back, people still had shortages back then, and we still have them now. So maybe we can learn something from the Mesopotamians to help solve our problems. All right, if you have any questions, please write them down. Don't forget to take your notes, and we will review this tomorrow in class. Thanks. Bye.